In a world that is changing really quickly, the only strategy that's guaranteed to fail is not taking a risk.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast, episode number 63. This is Tracy Matthews here, your host for today's episode. And for those of you who are new to the podcast, I'll just do a brief intro of myself. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer over at Flourish and Thrive Academy and also a custom jewelry designer myself. So I wanted to take some time today to talk about some memorable moments and takeaways from Flourish and Thrive Academy Live for 2016. And you might notice if you've listened to our other episodes that my voice today is a little bit raspy. And that's because I have been talking for several days straight. And I don't know about you, but my body does certain things time and again. And for me, when I've just had a really big event or something in my life that's sort of taken me to the next level in personal development, I have a tendency to lose my voice. I don't know what it is, but I have been fighting this thing about losing my voice pretty much since my brother's wedding the week before the live event in mid-September. So hopefully you'll bear with me through this raspy voiced episode. Maybe it just will sound good. Who knows? Anyway, so today I really am excited because we just wrapped up Flourish and Thrive Academy Live for 2016, as I mentioned. And it was really an incredible event. And it was just, for me, groundbreaking to see all these designers coming together. I think we had 85 plus people. Last year when we hosted this event, it was really just for our mastermind. So it was a very intimate group. It was about 25 people in the room. And then we had about 8 speakers come in and talk. This year, it was over 85 people and speakers, which was so crazy. It was like a totally different experience. And we spanned it over the course of 2 days, which was really incredible and amazing for all of us to witness, because I'm going to recap some of the most memorable moments in a moment. But just, there's something so special about getting people together in the same room. And it's really indescribable. I don't know. I'm like really at a loss for words right now. So I'm going to try to verbalize it as much as I possibly can over the next 30 minutes or so and give you a taste of what it was like to be in that room, and then hopefully give you the opportunity to check it out yourself if you'd like. We are just finishing up editing all the recordings for the event, and if you're interested in checking it out, I'm going to tell you how you can check it out at the end of the podcast, so make sure that you listen all the way through. And if you're not interested, no big deal at all. That's totally cool. But either way, this is going to be a really great episode, so make sure that you tune in for the entire episode. Before we get started, I am going to take a moment to take a word from our sponsor. Today's podcast is sponsored by HalsteadBead.com. We just love Halstead because of what the company is doing for emerging designers and makers. Halstead is a wholesale jewelry supply company specializing in chain findings, charms, and other must-have items for professional jewelry makers. Their new website, which is super cool, makes it really easy to reorder your favorite supplies from your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Browse their collection of outstanding products over at HalsteadBead.com. Halstead is also dedicated to helping designers grow and scale their business. And as you probably heard, I've interviewed Hillary Halstead Scott a few times. And one of the things that I think is really cool about this business is that every year they give away a $7,500 grant to an emerging jewelry business. So as you can tell, they're really supporting small business. And the thing I love about them too is that they're so generous. So we have a special offer for the Thrive by Design listeners and Flourish and Thrive Academy community. Receive $10 off an order of $100 or more using the discount code F&TA 2016. The discount code expires October 31st, 2016, and you can claim it by going over to halsteadbead.com and start shopping. All right, so let's dive right into memorable moments and takeaways from Flourish and Thrive Academy Live 2016. The funny thing is that I like creating fun titles for the podcast, and this one happens to be a little bit of a tongue twister, which is super funny. Before we get started, I wanted to get to thank the sponsors for the live event because without them, this wouldn't have been possible. So I wanted to just mention them here, and you might have heard about some of these guys, and they all participated in the event in one way or another, which was really cool. So we have Halstead Bead, Nina Designs, Accounting for Jewelers, Jewelry Designer Manager, SNAG, the Society of North American Goldsmiths, Compagnie de Provence, and Zero Accounting. So super special sponsors. They were all participated and all part of the event, which made it even more special. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about some of the contributions from these sponsors as well throughout this episode. So let's dive right in. So I wanted to jump into one of my favorite memorable moments from the live event. At the end of the event, I'm sort of starting with the end in the beginning, which is kind of random, but I think it's important because, we all come to the table with different experiences in life and different things that really help support us and motivate us. And the first thing that I asked people to do was I asked them, the whole theme of the live event was risk. So in the words of Mark Zuckerberg, the biggest risk is not taking any risk. In a world that is changing really quickly, the only strategy that's guaranteed to fail is not taking a risk. So you need to remember this, that success really comes and is born out of taking a risk. And risk doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to put everything on the line. It just means that you're pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone. So I want you to remember that as you're moving through and growing your businesses, that in order to succeed and to really reach next level success, you need to be willing to take a risk. And that risk might be facing your fears. That might be putting yourself out there when it's uncomfortable. That might be making a calculated risk, like signing up for a trade show that might get you exposure that you wouldn't otherwise get, or, taking the risk to reach out to an editor when you know that you might not hear back, and you probably won't hear back, but not taking that personally. And I can list off about 1,000 risks that you could probably take. There are a million risks out there, or 1,000, as I said, thousands, millions, tons of risks that you can take and that you probably need to take in order to get your business to the next level. So I asked the designers what it is that they would risk in order to make their dreams come true and to make their business a success. And I want to ask you that too, because I think it's a really, really important question. What are you willing to risk to get your business to the next level of success on your terms, whatever that means for you? Because everyone has their own definition of success, and that's a really important thing to remember. So risk was the biggest takeaway, or first takeaway, I should say. Maybe not the biggest, but the first takeaway. And that ties into kind of starting with the end because, one of my questions at the end of the conference was really all about using one word to describe how they felt in that moment. And I think that that's really important. And, time over time, I've been involved in masterminds or in networking events and conferences. And you can tell the difference when the energy is super connected versus when you're just showing up and leaving. And there's something really powerful about communing in person. Whether you're communing with a smaller mastermind group like we have over here at Flourish and Thrive Academy, and we're actually taking enrollment for that now for our mastermind for 2017, or whether you are sort of masterminding or going to a conference where you're able to connect with other people. Maybe they're your peers, and possibly they're even people who could be your advisors or mentors, or people who could, really help your business in one way or another. Experts in the field, so to speak. So my word that I ended the event with was really connection, because what I got to witness was something really amazing. I got to see these designers who were introverts and very shy, getting to know each other and their businesses. We watched them in the opening icebreaker exercises, just really putting themselves out there and walking up to people that they had never met before, just talking to them. And for me, that's something that's not very difficult for me. But for other people, it can be quite a challenge. So, I really applaud those people who really put themselves out there. And to see the designers starting to become besties with people that they've known online for a while, it was incredibly amazing. And then to feel the connection that, everyone who was on the panel, everyone who were speaking at the event, and myself got to experience that connection with the audience. There was just really nothing like it. And when we come together, we really, to use the words of Melissa Camilleri, we really rise by lifting others. And it's just a powerful experience. And in fact, as I'm saying this, I have goosebumps all over my arms because it is that powerful to be connected to someone in real life and to be able to network in person. It's game changing. So the next memorable moment, this is memorable moment number 3, if I can say that, is one of the big lessons and takeaways is that we need to share our stories more. And what I want to tell you is that practice makes perfect. So part of my risk, because I try to practice what I preach in hosting this conference and developing my talk, was really taking the risk of talking about the sort of impetus for me starting a jewelry business. And it's not just that I found a jewelry business in college, but it came at a really profound moment in my life when my mother passed away. And that was sort of the impetus that got me into this jewelry class that really spurred a whole cycle of events that got me to where I am today. So I took a risk because I told a very emotional story about my mother and the journey that I had about her death and how that's tied into vanity and how we have the power as designers to change the way people think about jewelry and to change the way people are actually wearing jewelry and how powerful jewelry actually is. So I'm not going to spill the whole talk. If you want to check it out, it was a really amazing experience for me to present to you. I would love for you to check that out over at Opportunity to get a virtual pass, which I'll be sharing with you at the end. Anyway, so just remember that regardless of what your story is, whether it's some profound life-changing experience that got you into jewelry design or something as simple as, working with your hands was a meditative practice for you, your story really matters and you need to be using that in order to sell more jewelry and to attract more of your dream clients. So that's a huge takeaway. So the memorable moments number 4 is really about live workshopping and how that really brings out brilliance and a different way of thinking about things. So throughout the conference, we had a couple of opportunities for people to live workshop with some of our amazing experts. So for instance, Sabina Hitchin did a live PR makeover with Amy Shepsman. And it was really awesome because Amy Shepsman of Flocka Jewelry got to see how just a few tweaks to her press pitch would make a total difference and get an editor to actually email her back. And they're really simple tweaks, and I'm not going to give it away because that's another one of the takeaways, but brilliant little changes to a pitch and how just that little bit of change could be the difference between getting someone to open your pitch and the difference between getting it lost in an email inbox. Super cool. And then we also did some live workshopping with Megan Dolby and Kim Diziabas. Megan is the owner of Harris Dolby Showroom, and Kim works for Lena Scattergard and also is the owner was the owner of Madison Bell, a great retail store chain down in DC. She's since sold it. But Megan went through and talked through with Jeanette Walker about how to pitch a showroom and things that she could change and tweak to really have a better experience with the showroom and to sort of land an opportunity to get represented by a showroom. And then Kim worked with Virginia Fredo to get into a really amazing store in New York called Park Lane Pharmacy, which was really cool because we got to see how Kim would approach this as a designer and some of the things that Virginia could do to make it really easy for the store owner to actually place an order, especially when there is a peak of interest there. So it was a really great opportunity to watch or see the sort of cogs in the wheel of how a store owner's brain works, especially when they're really busy. So beautiful insights right there. It was really amazing. That live workshopping aspect was just so fun. The next takeaway, which is my takeaway number 5, we have about, I think 11 or 12 or 13 actually takeaways, was the ability to get out of your comfort zone. So I know for a lot of people, traveling to a city like New York feels really uncomfortable because it seems like a huge big city. You might be going to a place where you don't know anyone. You're not really sure what to do next. And, that is where the growth happens, pushing beyond the limits of what you feel is comfortable. Also tied into this idea of taking a risk. So with that, we got to witness all these designers just really making big changes in their lives and their businesses just by pushing themselves and getting out of their comfort zones. And I swear it was crazy because we had a little networking event after the first day on Thursday, where all the designers kind of gathered together, and people didn't leave till so late. I felt like I was planning on leaving like maybe at 7 p.m. because we started at 5. And I ended up staying there till 9 because I just got caught up in conversation and being able to just talk to the designers directly, which was so fun. So the next takeaway number 6, is the word bullets. So I think this is really relevant in a lot of things that we do when we're writing and outreaching to clients, whether they be stores or individuals. And then also with our PR pitches, is to make it really easy for the people reading an email to digest the information and to have it bulleted out. And this is the same thing like when you're writing, any sort of copy for marketing. You can make information really digestible by bulleting things out to make it really easy to read and to get straight to the point of what you are trying to get to. Memorable moment and takeaway number 7 is that feedback from pros and experts in your industry is really game changing. And I mentioned earlier about the takeaways of Virginia and Jeanette, but I saw these girls, and also Amy, I forgot to mention Amy, but I saw these girls like literally their faces just lighting up from having the opportunity to like literally like workshop with people in person and to be able to connect with others. And then, I also want to mention, Nina Designs, or Nina Cooper, of Nina Designs, was there, really mentoring the designers about business and having the opportunity to, network with Hillary Halstead Scott and to network with people like Liz Kantner or so many of the other experts that were on our panel was just really incredible. And getting that direct feedback is invaluable. We had panels both days. On day 1, we had Liz Kantner on the panel, Kristen Hansen, who is a New York-based designer. We had Megan Patrice Riley jump in, who is awesome. She's a really successful designer and a total go-getter. We had Kim Diziabas, Sabina Hitchen, Megan Dolby on that first day, and it was really, really incredible. And on the second day panel, we had Sharon Hitchcock of Uncommon Goods. We had Mariel Diaz of Accounting for Jewelers, who is also one of our mastermind coaches. We had Inta Ivans, who is one of our mastermind coaches as well. And then once again, we had Hillary and Nina speaking all about business takeaways. And I thought it was so interesting because those conversations, especially on the second day, we were really focused on things that we don't talk about a lot, like inventory or setting up systems in a way that make it easy for you to actually use them. And we got a ton of different kinds of advice, which was really cool, so that you can like really mold it. There's not one way to do something. And I think that the most important takeaway from sort of this like live feedback is to find a way that works for you and use it, which I think is great. So the next piece of memorable moments and takeaways was during my interview with Kimra Luna, who Kimra's a friend of mine, and she's also a personal branding expert, which I think is really amazing. And Kimra really talked about developing a personal brand and like basically like putting your personality into your brand to get more sales. And one of the things I think is really powerful about what Kimra does is that, she's in a different field, but she started out with an Etsy store selling crystals and mama products and had a really successful store in the beginning and then decided that she wanted to take a pivot and move into a different direction. And what ended up happening is at a certain moment, she was like literally on welfare. And 2 years later, she was taking steps towards her dream, putting herself out there as a personal brand, and ended up making like millions of dollars in sales, the next year, which is pretty crazy. And I know people can sometimes get turned off by people sharing numbers, but I think you don't want to get lost in the numbers. You want to get lost in that moment of inspiration about how the difference between hiding behind a computer screen or your brand and actually putting yourself out there, using your story to leverage and attract new clients, how that really is the difference between growing to your desired level of success or staying the same, just staying in sort of status quo. So really, really great insights there that I really hope you guys will check out. Memorable moment and takeaway number 9 is that superhero status comes from knowing your strengths, your purpose, your passion, and how to make money from those things. And as Gwen Rickenbrod Smith of Snag says, it's Ikigai, Ikigai, and that's really finding that fusion of the place where all these things collide to bring you to what you're supposed to be doing, like your purpose in life. And it's important as, people who are working in a passion business to really like pull out the purpose in what it is that you're doing. Like, why are you called to do this? Why does it matter? How are you doing it your own way? And how are you using your passion to actually make money? So one of the funnest presentations and talk was Robin's talk about building sales confidence. And we all strutted some power poses. And it's interesting about how, I think one of the things that's really interesting is how body language can really change how we present ourselves and our confidence level. So I know for a lot of us, putting ourselves out there and selling, whether it be in person or behind a computer screen, can be really intimidating and daunting. But the bigger lesson to remember is that a lot of times, just changing our posture can really change a lot for us. So if you watch our social media, you might have seen like Robin and I standing in a Wonder Woman pose in front of one of her slides in the event. And it was super fun, but like just think about how you can change how you can change your posture, how you can change your confidence level just by showing up and changing your body language, which I think is really, really important. So much more important stuff in that talk as well about building sales confidence. But that was like a really fun takeaway that I wanted to share with you. One of my favorite takeaways, I just love Nina Cooper of Nina Designs. She did an amazing talk all about getting all up in your business and growing it. And one of her final slides said, "Don't drink your own Kool-Aid." And for me, that was hilarious because I think that we all get stuck. I don't know about you. I'm going to whisper to you quietly. We all get stuck in our own BS. And I hate to put it that way, but we listen to ourselves and get stuck in our own patterns instead of getting outside advice. So really what that means, don't drink your own Kool-Aid, is to get advisors to help you. So first and foremost, I'm super stoked that you're listening to this podcast today because this is a step in the right direction for getting advisors to help you. Listening to business information from people who are outside of your head and getting you to think about your business more strategically. Advisors can be anyone from people like us at Flourish and Thrive Academy, joining a group like our mastermind group, where we bring in a group of like literally industry experts to help advise your business and work in detail in your business. I also spoke about my first mentor, Phil, or not my first mentor, but one of my most powerful mentors, I should say, Phil Clements. And he was one of the people that really got me on this new direction and pivoting in my jewelry business, so that I was able to close down my first company and do something that I'm a lot more passionate about. Without him looking from the outside in and sort of helping me take a look at what it is that I couldn't see, my life would be so different right now. And I'm pretty sure that I would be just teaching yoga and would no longer be living in New York City. I'm not sure what I would be doing, but the power to have people from the outside looking into your business will change your business dramatically. And I know one of the excuses I always personally used was I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I can't afford it. But when you think about the return on investment of getting advisors and people to look inside your business and the shortcuts that actually brings you and the level of knowledge and expertise that they can fast track you to and give you a step-by-step plan, it's literally life-changing. And one of the things that was really interesting that we heard from a lot of our mastermind designers at the event, because we really wanted to hear from them, like what was different. I think for the most part, all of them, when they were deciding to join our mastermind, had a hesitation about, investing in themselves. And it was interesting because I was listening to Karina Harris of Waffles and Honey when we were looking at some of the footage later when she was talking about this. She said she's been in our mastermind for 2 years. And she said, yeah, for the first year, it was a little bit about the investment. But the second year, there was no hesitation because I got to see what happened on the other side and how this investment's really a no-brainer because what I've learned helped me make that money back like 100-fold. And that's one of those things that you have to remember. I was so scared to hire Phil because his fee was so expensive. And without him and his team, like I would not be where I am today. And I still thank him. I'm so grateful for it. He's no longer with us. He passed away a couple years ago, but the knowledge that he brought to the table was just really invaluable for me. And I can't even explain what it really has done for me in the long run, but it's been incredible. So don't drink your own Kool-Aid, get advisors. That's coming straight from the mouth of Nina Cooper, not just my own. I loved it though. That was super fun takeaway. And then finally, community and collaboration over competition. Now, as you guys know, this is my takeaway number 12. As you know, Flourish and Thrive Academy was really founded on this idea of community and collaboration over competition. And the thing that I found so interesting about what we're doing, it's taken several years to get this off the ground. And the reason being is that the jewelry industry is pretty old school. They didn't value, they do now, hopefully with us, but they didn't always value this opportunity to share information and how that really helps everyone lift each other up. And in the beginning, when we would ask experts to come in and talk, it was really hard to get people who were open enough and willing to do that without feeling like they were threatened. And today, to see all these panelists coming in, showroom experts, designers, people like Liz Kantner, who has like a really successful marketing brand, and who also work with Todd Reed, coming in and sort of spilling some of the secrets of these industry insiders. It really goes to show you that, they're not threatened by telling people like the secrets of how to get it in. Actually, what they're doing is offering you a service because they've done their job right. They're actually saving themselves time doing their job. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but, for instance, like, Megan's come in and talked to Megan Dolby of Harris Dolby Showroom, has come in and talked to our community several times. And, people know about Harris Dolby, and a lot of the designers in our community have pitched them. But, if we teach them how to present to a showroom in the right way, it saves her a lot of time and energy, vetting, new prospects. Because the fact of the matter is they have limited showroom space. Yeah, they can only take on a couple people, maybe a year at most. But it also helps, the entire industry and the industry standards sort of elevate when people actually know what to do, and gets you so much further ahead when you're presenting to a showroom or just about doing anything. Also, if you think about approaching your exposure efforts really as coming from a place of service and helping, showroom reps, stores, editors, they all need people to sell and cover. And you're doing them a favor by reaching out in a way, because you might have something that fills a gap for them that's not something in their mix. So these are all things to really think about, and things that you need to remember, that opening up and sharing and becoming part of a community like ours, if ours doesn't resonate with you, that's totally cool. Just find one that's great. Really has the power to change so much in your experience and to help you find this sort of idea of community and collaboration over competition. We've seen it time and time again, and it's just amazing to see the growth of so many designers over the last several years and how they've really up-leveled their businesses in an incredible way. So those are my key takeaways: is to take a risk, connection, share your story, live workshopping equals brilliance, getting out of your own way or your comfort zone, bullets, can't say that enough. Getting feedback from pros is really a game changer. Creating a personal brand equals millions in sales potentially. Superhero status comes from knowing your strengths, your purpose, your passion, and how to make money from those things. Confidence and power poses lead to more sales. Don't drink your own Kool-Aid. That's my favorite one. And community and collaboration over competition. So our live event was so awesome. We decided that we are going to make this an annual thing. So if you want to come live next year, no, tickets are not open for enrollment right now. We would love to have you. So I would love for you to mark on your calendar that September in 2017, we will be hosting another live event, most likely here in New York City. But keep your eyes open, because we will be announcing that probably in December or January of this year, next year. But on top of that, I gave you some of our biggest takeaways here, but there's so much more brilliance. Listening to the live talks and the panels is really eye-opening and groundbreaking. So we'd love to invite you to grab one of our virtual passes. We still have access, or giving you access to the recorded footage of our live event, and that includes all of the talks, all of the worksheets, and a couple of extra bonuses. So we hope you'll check those out. You can go check that out over at flourishthriveacademy.com/virtual pass. That's flourishthriveacademy.com/virtual pass. We'll also have that over at the show notes over at episode number 63 for you. And And then I also mentioned something that is very near and dear unto my heart, and that is our mastermind program. Now, we have been taking applications for a mastermind over the past couple of weeks. We still have a few slots available, so even though enrollment's closed, if it's something that you're interested in, shoot us an email or go over to flourishthriveacademy.com/mastermind 2017 and download an application and apply to the mastermind, because it's really an amazing opportunity for you to not only grow your business, but grow personally and to have this sense of community and collaboration in a really close, tight-knit group that is going to definitely take your business to the next level in 2017 and beyond. Remember, don't drink your own Kool-Aid and get the help from advisors. Really, really important. Alrighty, that concludes today's episode of the Thrive by Design podcast. I hope that you enjoyed today's show. So if you have, and you haven't already done so, I would love to hear from you. So head on over to our iTunes over at flourishthriveacademy.com/iTunes and give us a little rating and review. Tell us what you think. Thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, this is Tracy Matthews signing off.